This is where the real talk starts. So take a seat, have a chat, table talk, where the real talk's at.
Good evening, everybody. Glad you're here to join us tonight. We're going to do a few things tonight different. Well, not really different. We should have done this on our first episode. We're going to introduce ourselves and let y'all know who we are, and then we're going to discussion about the Bible. Uh, I am DJ Noyd. Some of you know me, some of you don't know me. Kind of a backstory is podcast has been on my mind for a while to teach people that don't know about God and to teach them the biblical things about other stuff around the world, about the Christian way to do things, finding all the lies and the news, so to speak, just to get stuff out there that you don't know about. And God led me do this about a month ago, and I've been arguing with him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And here recently, I just said, "Fine, it's time to go." And what led me to do it the most was the month of June, Pride Month, and we get a whole month to celebrate something that's not even a thing; it's a sin. And I feel like that God should be celebrated all the time, not just one day a week, or Christmas, or Thanksgiving, all the holidays that people come. Easter is the biggest one. It's crazy. Easter is bigger than Christmas.
You would think, but Christmas has become so commercialized, so to speak. Now don't get me wrong, I do love the editions of Reese's that come out for the holidays, but no, in Christianity, yeah, you would think that Easter would be the number one, so to speak. Um, and yeah, but Christmas seems to be the favorite.
I mean,
And which is important. I like it too.
how
I
is
like the
Easter? How is
holidays.
Easter bigger than Christmas when Easter is supposedly his birthday?
Well, Easter is a resurrection.
See, see that's good.
But the stupid thing is, and a little tangent here is, he wasn't born on December 25th, anyways.
Nobody, I don't know. I think they said they don't know when he was born at all.
My if I remember correctly, they're placing it sometime in the way our current calendar works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, between late July and early to mid August, if I remember. Don't quote me. Um, but the stupid thing is, and I have heard people argue this, like, well, you don't celebrate it on his birthday. Well, how many times has a kid's birthday been on a Wednesday during school and we waited until Saturday? What's the difference?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Celebrating is celebrating. I think it's far more important that it gets celebrated other than when.
Right.
Yeah.
So then also one of the biggest thing was when arguing with God is I told God, I said, I didn't want to do it by myself because I don't know everything about the Bible. I don't know that there's
Don't know
quite a few
anything
people that
about
know
it.
everything and know enough, but I wanted to get somebody with me that could help me quote it and scripture it, and
Right.
we educate each other, we sharpen each other's swords, sharpen iron, sharpen iron.
Yeah, that's actually what was going through my head is iron sharpens iron.
And then see, God put the perfect person for me to text. And this is my friend Chris, and believe it or not, he's actually sitting across the table from me.
Yes.
Table
Yep.
talk.
Table talk.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, that was that was a lot of it. My name is Chris. As far as my background and history, I've been in and out of the faith my whole life. I'm no better than the Israelites. I was kind of raised in it, but then parents divorced and everything changes. And, you step away for a while and then you come back and you get in and life happens and you step away for a while. And I'm not saying any of that with condemnation because it happens, but we should try to not do that.
Right.
But that is a very common story. I don't have any like a real big awe-inspiring, well, I was right, right for the devil and blah blah blah, and then God turned around and saved my life. I mean, He did, but it's just not a really good story to tell. But yeah, same thing. And for the audience, me and DJ and the missus, we went to school together.
Yeah.
Now I've been friends with the missus since middle school. Now as far as DJ, we weren't enemies, but we weren't close friends
No.
either. We kind of ran in different circles. We really didn't even have any classes together, did we?
Auto mechanics, maybe?
I know I had it. I just don't remember if you was ever in there with us or not.
Because I don't. Were you there with DJ,
Minner?
the one that works at the Walmart?
No.
Okay, then no, we didn't have a class together. I
No.
know we're just friends because of Scott.
Well, there's that, and we knew each other, and same thing.
Patrick.
He texted me about this, and I thought about it. Yeah, we're not throwing that out on the air.
Oh yeah.
But we did have, we are friends of friends, so to
Yeah.
speak. And from my recollection, we weren't enemies. We just ran in different circles.
Yeah, we
But
did.
when he texted me about it, I sat and thought about it, and I knew the moment I read it that this was the missus' idea. I knew that, because we weren't tight, and I what did I spend? 8 minutes before I responded. I mean, it wasn't long.
No.
And I thought about it, like, well, do I really want to go on a podcast and talk about this stuff? I don't know how I could say no, just to be honest with you. When you are given an opportunity to share the word, to share your testimony, to even just fellowship with other Christians, how can you really say no? Um, so yeah, for me, I mean, I took a moment to reflect, but it was a no-brainer. I mean, how do you not? And here we are.
No, crazy enough, believe it or not, we're two different type of Christians.
I believe that. I believe
Isn't that a bad thing? I think it's one of the reasons why God put us together because
Well,
of the two different
the
backgrounds.
stupid thing is
I'm Pentecostal.
most of mine has been Pentecostal and Baptist. Um,
Yeah, Baptist also.
well, those I mean,
I have
outside
that.
of Church of Christ, those are the predominants around here.
I've heard somebody say I got that mud Christianity. I got all kinds of them.
Oh, well, there are a lot. Well, and what always got me, and I know we're getting off on a tangent here, but I don't put a whole lot of stock in, and I'm staying on the Protestant side. I don't put a whole lot of stock in Baptist, Pentecostal, or Church of Christ, or whatever. And I'm not knocking any of them. It's that, well, let's just pick on Baptist for a moment. A lot of people are of the Baptist denomination, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but the arguing point is if you had two Baptist churches side by side, they're still not going to agree on everything. So the fun part about Christianity and especially Protestantism, we don't agree on anything. you know?
And one of the things I wanted to make sure people learn today is, we're teaching about the Bible. We're learning about the Bible.
Yes.
And
Yes.
one of the things to know about us for sure is that we have learned that there is nothing in the Bible that says there's any type of domination.
No, there is nothing scriptural about. So all of the denominational stuff, actually, the majority of it has been within the last 200 to 400 years.
Yeah.
Um,
So with that being said, we are Christ followers.
that was the other aspect that I was going to mention a moment ago. I don't even like using the word Christian anymore,
No,
because
derogatory.
depending on who you ask, you'll get a different definition of what it actually means. And a lot of people will tell you that to be a Christian simply means that you believe in Jesus. I don't know that that's anything special. Satan believes in Jesus. The demons believe in Jesus. We're supposed to be separate from that.
Yeah.
Um, so, as a generic, yeah, yeah. If we go back to, shall we say, first century um, Christianity, so to speak, that was actually a term of derision. It linked people to this Christ guy, and they were actively being persecuted. I mean, it was. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and start naming off names that we call people, but it was not a term of endearment.
Right.
Um, Probably not till what, third, fourth century. I'm just guessing and
Yes.
speculating.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have gotten sidetracked, which is what I do.
You're
I
human.
am good at it.
We're human. That's the purpose of the podcast,
Yes,
to have fun and educate.
yes, and to learn
We
ourselves.
might be a few rails on the other side of the tracks, but we're getting back to the train like we're supposed to be.
Yes, yes, yes.
So the purpose the purpose of the podcast is like we said, is we're going to educate and learn ourselves, uh, learn as we go. We have one guest that we are talking to right now. Actually, we're going to have a guest next week, and we're going to have a guest with us. It's a friend of ours that we went to school with.
Right,
Um, you'll get to meet him next week. It'll be an interesting conversation because he's definitely a different religion background.
right.
Not a bad thing. I mean, he still believes in God. That's all that matters.
That honestly, that's where I have been, and I'm sure 5, 10. At some point, I was probably a lot more personal and rude about such matters. But when you get right down to it, the essentials. Do you trust in Jesus as your Lord and Savior? Um, Whether or not you go in the church barefoot or you do a potluck after dinner, um, a lot of what I refer to, and pardon my French, but the denominational crap, most of that is scripturally irrelevant. We honestly we argue over stuff that has pretty much nothing to do with salvation in and of itself.
Right.
Um, now, with certain people are very impassioned, but cannot present a good argument or defense. And I don't like talking with those people because I like to argue. Um, but some of that stuff is interesting to discuss,
Mhm.
But is it a major defining point in salvation? No, it's really not. The Shall we say hymnals versus contemporary versus you know um, do you wear ankle length clothing or what? The scripture there's a don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff that says do this and don't do that, and that is a complete different lesson. But most of the things that we argue about as believers are not the fundamentals. It's the trivial stuff. But DJ, you're going to have to take this over, or I'm going to sit here and talk the whole time.
All right. So the question was asked that when discussed, what's the next topic?
Right.
Of course, like 15 filed out, and we're like, wait a minute, we need to start off with what is the Bible?
Absolutely. Let's start with the basics.
Because
Let's lay
our hope is to reach people that don't know what the Bible is. They know what it what it consists of,
Right,
but they
right,
don't know what
right,
it is.
right. That
And also, me and Jen were talking today, and we want to try to find somebody to help us get Bibles to people that don't have one. That's
interesting.
gonna be the next mission, so to speak,
Well,
outreach program.
well, not only that, but you know, information for our audience. If you need a Bible and have ever stayed in a hotel, most hotels have that Gideon Bible.
Right?
They want you to take it. They
Yeah.
are more than happy.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and I'm just passing that information along. I'm not saying because they're willing to replace it that you should throw it away. Um, I'm pushing respectfulness. If you need a Bible and you don't have a Bible, but you happen to be in a hotel room, you do not have to put that Bible back. They will replace it. They want you to have it.
Also, if you're watching this show or podcast and you do want to get some kind of information from the Bible, we have little bitty tracts that we can send you.
Well,
Message us on Facebook because we have a Facebook page. It will be linked into this podcast and all that. Send us your address, and we will send you a little travel, little
there
book,
there is that, and in this age of technology,
Bible app.
there are multiple Bible apps that are free,
Yeah.
and of course, are there any phones that still run that aren't smartphones?
The only one I can think of is a flip phone.
Do they still make them?
Yes.
Okay.
I tease the boys all the time. If they don't start straightening up, they're going to get one. Then they're going to learn how to text the proper way.
Yeah. 333.
So we did our research, and this is definitely going to be possibly a 3-part series. 2 for sure.
With my mouth, it could be
Yes.
6.
And we did research last night, and we only got, I don't even know if it's halfway. And the Bible is a religious collection of religious texts that are central to Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and other Aramaic religions such as Islam. The Bible is an anthology originally written in Hebrew, Greek, and some parts in Aramaic.
I believe that what was it? Habakkuk was Aramaic.
Yeah.
I have heard it argued that there were possibly more. I don't know if anybody has penned that down, but we can fairly well argue that the Old Testament was primarily Hebrew, except for Habakkuk. I believe they have nailed down that one for sure was Aramaic, where the New Testament was most likely 100% Greek.
Yeah. Yeah.
My 2 cents worth. Do your thing.
Do you know the Latin word for Bible?
I didn't know the Latin word for Bible, but in the note taking and whatnot, oh, I'm going to mispronounce this.
We did too.
Do y'all know the correct
It
pronunciation?
says Biblia or Biblia.
Biblia, which might very well be a mispronunciation.
No, we need to find somebody not from Kentucky, and maybe they can pronounce it.
Well, and that is the thing is I try not to mess a lot with foreign foreign to me languages because once you're shall we say in the South, we have a hard enough time with English.
Yes.
And we have our own dialect that we lovingly refer to as Appalachian American
Mm-hmm.
or hillbilly.
Yeah.
And we do it. I think we do it quite well. I don't know if anybody else can understand us, but I don't understand Greek.
I don't
So,
either.
I mean, it is what it is.
I had a close friend's mom that was Greek, and
It can be difficult.
she had a temper. Yeah, but she can cook.
I can see that. I can see that.
Also, the Greek word Biblia means books. which comes
plural.
from biblically is referring to papyrus and or scroll,
Right.
which leads to the what was it they talked about in one of the sermons, the scrolls.
The Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the same thing. I guess as what they're talking about here when or scrolls, that's the same thing.
The Dead Sea Scrolls were scrolls, yes,
Yeah.
but scrolls were, generally, yeah, you didn't have individual pages. It was one long continuous piece. That might be papyrus. It might be that they did have a couple of different substances they made scrolls out
Yeah.
of. Depending on the location, time frame, finances. Um,
Also, when that somebody mentions the word Bible, I think of it as a roadmap to happiness.
It can be, but you have to define happiness
Heaven. To be with
because
Jesus and everybody else that's up there.
this is again a tangent, and you'll have to forgive me for this. The reason I bring that up is the world, the society that we live in
Mhm.
stresses so much. Do your thing, go be happy. But when we look at the scripture, it says to find joy. A lot of people equate them the same way, and maybe it is a misunderstanding, but I try to better define, or at least define in a manner that I understand.
Mhm.
Joy is a state of being. Happiness is a mood or emotion. You can have a bad day and still be joyful. But we've all met somebody having a bad day and they're not happy.
Right.
So that's why I bring that up is so we can define what are we looking at.
Right. Um, the Bible has so much information in it.
A lot.
I mean, if you're struggling with the day in general,
Yes.
there's something in the Bible help you through that.
Yes, there are passages that are uplifting. There are passages that are correctional. There's so much in there. And we will get to that. Um, and honestly, what I'm trying to do is stay more directly on topic.
Correct.
Because I will take a tangent and run with it, head first, both feet. So, we have covered that the Bible, it is a book, but it is a collection of books and letters, and that's important to understand. I believe it's also very important to know that there is an order, but it's out of order. The Bible
Right.
is not written in a chronological order,
No.
nor was it done in the same time frame. It is estimated, and I'm not talking about when these events took place, but the earliest copy that we can find of the writing down of the first 5 books being Genesis, Exodus, see my hillbilly kicked in, um, verses to John's Revelation, they estimate 15 to 1600 years between those 2 points, and 400 years roughly between the Old Testament and the New Testament.
So that's what blew my mind. Growing up, they taught us the Bible. They taught us how to do the singing, how to remember the verse. Could I do it now? No.
No, I can't either.
And we're in Sunday school. They're teaching us about the Bible. And the one thing I don't remember ever being taught is it took 1,500 years. 1,500 years to write this Bible.
And 40 plus authors. The Bible, and forgive me for throwing a name out there, no copyright infringement at all.
Correct.
The Bible is not a book that is a novel penned by, say, Stephen King.
Right.
The Bible has multiple authors from different countries, different cities, different time frames. And that is a point that I was going to get into a little bit later. Um, they weren't all, you know, the origins of the Bible come out of Judaism. Not every author was Jewish. We, I believe we can prove as well as something of this nature can be proved that Luke is the author for Luke, the Gospel of Luke.
Right.
He is also the author for the Acts of the Apostles. Luke was Greek. Luke was not a Jew. He was not a Hebrew. And I don't mean Jew in a derogatory manner. I mean he was not born into, like Simon Peter or Peter. He grew up as a Hebrew under Judaism. Yes. Um, but yeah, I'm getting notes on the fly here. Um,
We have a moderator.
Luke was, and I don't remember his origins, where he was born or anything, but Luke was Greek, so he was not, he was not one of the 12.
Right.
Um, but going back into this discussion, the Bible is not in a chronological order either. The first 5 books you could call the Torah, which the Hebrews do. Um, that is basically the law, the Old Testament law. Then you get into history, First and Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles. If you try to read Genesis, Exodus, I still can't pronounce that, Exodus. When you get to Kings and Chronicles, I get lost because they start talking about things that have not happened yet in towns and lands that do not exist yet. Then you can, you move farther along. You get into Song of Solomon, Ecclesiastes, and then you get into the prophets. So the reason why we're going over this is if I started reading a book that was completely out of order, it won't take long before I put that book down because I'll get lost. Now I can handle information. It just needs to be in some kind of order. Um, so that's one of the reasons why we're discussing this is the Bible does have an order to it, but it's not in a chronological timeline storytelling that most of the books that we would choose to read are in. And the New Testament is similar. Um, the first 4 books are the Gospels. Um, then you have the Acts of the Apostles. It's one book, but it's spanning about 30 years of events.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into the epistles, and even those are divided between the ones that Paul wrote versus the ones that James wrote or Peter wrote or whatever, and even Jude. Um, I had a thought and I lost it. We'll get back to it if I remember it. And then we get to Revelation, but yes, most of what we would call the epistles, they're not even books; they're letters. When if you look at Corinthians, shall we say First Corinthians, that was a letter that Paul wrote and then sent to Corinth. It wasn't that he sat down and wrote a story out. It was a letter. Um, and understanding, at least for me, understanding the method to the madness, so to speak, um, makes it easier to understand. Um, Now, all of the information in there is good,
Right.
but To me, taking a lot of it in, um, it's like if you started speaking Greek right now, it might sound fantastic, and I might even be able to pick out a few words. But if I don't understand it, if I can't retain it, how much good is it actually doing?
Right.
And
Something else
yeah,
blew my mind that I've read the Bible several times. Of course,
right.
every time I pick up something different.
Always.
Well, that wasn't there before, but it's always been there. But it's crazy how it picks something up every time.
Yes.
God shows me something different every time.
Have
And
you seen that picture? I think Jordan Peterson talks about it. I don't know that he's the one that originated it, but it shows a timeline and it's got the books of the Bible in there. And then where it hyperlinks,
yes,
like
yes,
it is the most hyperlinked source in existence.
yeah.
Okay.
There is.
I just, it came to mind.
It happens. Things pop in your head. We gotta say it.
Absolutely.
But there's 66 books,
Yeah, in our Bible, yes.
and it's an even number. I don't know. I guess I'm weird like that.
Right.
It didn't go into the odd effect because me, I don't. I'd rather have an even number than odd number. I know I'm just weird like that.
Generally,
I don't want to
yeah.
mess something up. That's throwing stuff off because it's not even.
Right.
And it's the Old Testament, the New Testament. There's historical books. There's poetic books, prophetic books.
Mm.
The New Testament, gospel, historical letters to apostles.
There's major and minor prophets.
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you know what the difference between a major prophet and a minor prophet is?
Major has more responsibility.
You would think, but no. The major prophets are the bigger books, and the minor prophets are the smaller books.
Hmm.
That's that I learned that not too long ago myself. I always thought, well, it was the prophets. But they're actually classified different between major and minor, but it's not that one prophet was higher ranking, so to speak. It's this one wrote far more than that one did.
Yeah,
And that's the only difference.
and there's other people in the Bible that are higher ranked than others.
Yes, there are.
Rank, God gave them more responsibility.
That can be a whole table talk in and of itself.
I feel like this is going to be a good one, not just about the Bible, but about everything.
Well, it just like we brought up, it hyperlinks.
Hyperlink. We're going to create a bunch of hyperlinks for everybody to click on.
I will leave that to you.
Huh?
I will leave that to you.
Yeah.
You are the tech guy.
I am. I am that.
Yeah.
We have kids with us, and they need chargers because we want people to learn about the Bible with us, not just everybody in our screens.
Absolutely.
So my wife is taking care of things so we can continue with a little distraction, but that's okay.
Yep.
But it goes from Genesis all the way to the end to Revelations. Revelation is it not S on there?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I guess it always had it
I
on
don't
there.
know that it really matters.
Right.
Well,
you can't say Exodus.
Well, right.
Grandbaby's only fit, but that's okay.
Oh,
Anyways, and 40 different people contributed to the Bible.
That we're aware of. There is a few that are open for speculation. It's hard to prove. I don't know that they've ever been able to nail down who actually wrote Hebrews.
Right.
A lot of people lean towards Paul, and there are some similarities to not necessarily the manner by which it was penned, but the manner by which he communicates. It is the communication versus the way it was penned. It almost reads like Paul was dictating it and somebody else wrote it their way, if that makes sense.
Right.
But I don't know that they've actually been able to pin down who for sure wrote
I've always
Hebrews.
wondered too, like I said, the Bible was written by certain people. Until now, I've always wondered if it was all human input.
That is the one of the biggest arguments that you will
Yes,
hear
yes,
from non-believers
yes.
is it was written by man. How can I trust it?
Well, the
Um,
man got it from God, got it from Jesus, from these other people, kingsmen, fishermen, priests. There's
yes,
actually government officials back in time.
yes,
Uh,
yeah,
farmer, shepherd, doctors.
yes. Well, I believe Paul was not Paul. Luke was a physician.
So there's always been doctors and always been farmers. Not just something that
To,
happened
to various
last.
degrees, yes.
Right.
So, of course, medical science
Yes.
has come a long way.
Yes.
But yeah, farming has been around, government has been around in different forms.
They didn't like in the Bible. I never hear them say, "Well, I got a hamburger from the store."
No, at some part they did start doing markets, but
Mhm.
most of it was still barter system and
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah.
Um, but no, many, I mean, the old way of doing things was you raised your own food, you grew your own food. And if you had people nearby, you could do some swapping.
I
Um,
feel like there's gonna be a time where we have to get back to that, and I'm kind of a little scared about it.
there are aspects to that I believe would be beneficial, hugely beneficial. There are other aspects to it that with money, when you are dealing with a currency, you are still doing a trade-off because, well, you mentioned going to the store.
Yeah.
If you want to buy a side of beef, so to speak, um, the farmer or market, wherever you are purchasing it from, they're going to have a price on it based on what they have tied up in it. Food, time, labor, shipping expenses, slaughtering material, whatever. They're going to come up with a price. Your money, well, if you go to work, what you are trading at your job is your time, your knowledge, and your skill for currency.
Yeah.
And so, we even using currency, you are still bartering, but with the money in your hand, it feels it, and it's probably just a psychological thing, but it feels like you can counter. Um, it's easier to say that this side of beef is worth this many dollars
Mhm.
versus this side of beef is worth so many chickens and half a pig. You know, now the people that grew up in that fashion, they would probably, I'm sure they would like their system better, and ours would confuse them. Um,
Yeah.
and I, like us, it's with the way currency changes and inflation and all that, ours confuses me. I mean, I've got the concept of the dollar. It's simply that it isn't worth what it used to be.
No.
Um, and I'm going to stop on that note.
Uh, the ultimate goal for us to teach everybody is that the ultimate author is God.
Yes, yes, but it
We just
is
have a bunch. We have 4 different people that contributed to the work of the art of the Bible,
multiple people. Yes,
and it's crazy how I grew up the King James version.
right.
And here recently, I knew there's always been other versions and stuff like that. The these and the
Yeah,
thous and those, and then you get an NIV, and you're like, that's more my language. Or the ESV. The
right,
ESV, I just started reading that because I'm doing another Bible study with a group of men for discipleship training.
right.
Which to me, I think this is another part of that. I just realized that. Light went off. Anyways, because the discipleship training is supposed to teach me to disciple other men, women, whichever,
Right, right, right.
which might be you and some other else, whoever else joins our
Yeah, yeah.
podcast. Uh, and I don't know if y'all realize I said that our podcast, not mine, it's ours. And I say ours isn't mine, yours and God's, and whoever else is
Right,
involved.
right.
Um, I hear people say my podcast or their podcast, it's ours.
Well, I tell you what, I'm just going to not worry about that aspect.
Correct?
You
Yeah.
know,
We're not here to please everybody. We're here to do stuff for God.
well, there's that, and you know, when you really break it down, every breath we have is a gift from God.
Yes.
Every second we're here is a gift, and I look at the podcast the same way. I'm here as a guest, um, and to me, it's that simple. I'm not super possessive or anything like that. The way I see it, if God wants this to happen, nothing will stop it. And
Well,
if God doesn't want it to happen, I don't know that we could make it work.
here's what's crazy. I was telling my wife today. I've been praying to God about this for a while,
Right.
and I'm like, well, I need to plan this. I need to get this going, and God has opened up so many doors for us.
Hmm.
Like the room that we have right now, we're using in this library. I have booked for the rest of the year.
Right.
We reserved it for the rest of the year, and they said that we can book an extra room for our kids if we need it, where they can watch TV or whatever. As long as we don't tear up the room, they don't care. And next Saturday, with our guest that we're going to have with us, they agreed to give us a round table
Right.
for us to
Right.
sit at. Because I have this vision. I'm pretty sure God gave me this vision of us sitting at this round table having a discussion at the table,
Right. Right.
and that's the whole theme of our podcast, the table.
Yeah, that was the basis of it, and that's the way I treat it. Is Um, most of the time, occasionally I'm speaking directly to the audience, but most of the time I'm treating this no different as if we were sitting here having a cup of coffee
Yeah,
discussing these
yeah,
things. I don't know everything. There's things I have to look up.
yeah. Same here.
Um, I'm not coming from a position of authority. Like I'm not the boss. I'm not
I'm not either. God's the boss.
and that's the way I'm treating it. And I might misspeak. I might say something that I truly believe, and then three to
Yes.
5 years from now, God tells me I'm wrong.
Also, we're getting our information from the Bible. We will Google stuff. AI
Absolutely.
will tell us some things, and we're going to give our own perspective on it. And we're human, and it won't bother us if one of our viewers has a comment on our post.
Yeah.
You want to comment on it? Go ahead. We will take it to our hearts and comment back to ourselves. Hey, thanks for the appreciation. We appreciate the information you gave us, and we're not going to get mad about it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a hater, you want to comment on our post, we will deal with it. God will help us. And I'm really hoping that the hater is a non-follower of Jesus, and we turn them. That's my hopes.
Are you familiar with Lee Strobel?
No,
He's the one that wrote all of the books.
should have known about a book. He's a book writer. I'm not.
But well, a couple of them have been turned into movies. But
Okay, I can do that.
he's the one that does them from a legal perspective. The case for Christ, the case
Okay.
for a creator. Um, Again, don't quote me because I'm doing this from memory. He was a legal writer for a major newspaper years ago. Um, his philosophy was you have to prove everything. Everything has to be backed up. If your mother tells you she loves you, get references.
Yes.
And my understanding is neither him nor his wife had any religious upbringing or inclination at all. And after a period of time, his wife converted to Christianity. Well, I don't know if conversion is right. Either way, she started following the faith, and he fought it for years. And then he finally put his head down and he decided if there's any truth to this, He's going to treat it just like he would covering a court case or anything else. And it led him to Christ. And that's what I encourage people is whether you are a believer, an agnostic, an atheist, Muslim, whatever, if you have a point that you want to prove me wrong, by all means, dig in the Bible and show me where I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
Show me the truth.
but at the same point in time, I caution you, as we've discussed, there are over 60 books and letters in there. Everybody can find that one line in there that's taken out of context to support what you're saying.
Yeah.
So prove me wrong, yes, but do it in context and save yourself and me from the trouble from having to, you know, because you can read a Stephen King book and pull a one line to make it say to support whatever you're trying to say. But that doesn't mean that that's what Stephen King was writing about. So at least do yourself the courtesy, do us all the courtesy to make sure that what you're saying, that you know what you're talking about.
So if you remember in our notes, it said something about First John. God is the Word. I can't remember exactly how it said it now. God is the Word. The Word is the God. Trying to find it. That's something that stuck out with me.
Is that First John?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, what always got me is that is fairly well how the Gospel of John starts out.
Yeah.
And again, I'm paraphrasing, but you know, in the word, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then it comes down a little bit and says, and then the Word became flesh.
Now, if you look at NIV, it says something totally different.
Well, and I'm
It's the
not
same
directly
concept.
quoting.
Right.
Um,
I was just trying to because when we did our notes last night, it wasn't. It didn't. It said it the way she just said it. The
right.
word is God, and God is the Word, and you're reading all that, and you go to NIV, and it's from
Well,
what she.
I'm talking out of the Gospel of
Yeah.
John, but
Yeah.
First John, I believe, starts very similarly.
Yes.
And it's entirely, it was the same John that wrote those, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that would explain the similarity.
Now, is when it comes to the Bible, I've always wondered this too. My brain just train goes all different directions. You have NIV, ESV, and the King James.
Right.
So it's still John, but how did they know to correct it in this translation? Did they
All
know
right.
that? Did they know that we were going to have different people to understand it differently?
Well, it could it could go either way. There's a lot of theories on it. So when I discuss with people about translations, it's to understand that there are roughly three types of translations. All right. And the reason I bring that up, and there's far more than three translations, but if we were sitting here speaking our hillbilly American, um, as long as we were using English words, somebody who knew Greek or Latin or Spanish or another language, you could do a word for word translation. This English word means this Spanish word.
Right.
So that's one type of translation is a word for word translation. The other type is a word for thought translation. And it is like we were speaking about the author of Hebrews.
Yeah.
This person is speaking, but this person is interpreting the best manner that they know how. And then you have a thought for thought translation. Um, I I'm not criticizing. I personally stay away from a thought for thought translation. If you want accuracy, you want to get as close to a word for word translation as you can get. Now, some of the other, like the word for thought or the thought for thought, sometimes they will word a passage in there that makes more sense because it's written in a modern way as we might speak talking to each other.
Right.
But if you're unsure, and a lot of people will swear by King James version, and I don't mean New King James, I mean Old King James, or the Geneva, and both of those are it. Well, if you've ever read Shakespeare, or if you remember that from school, the Geneva I think is 1599.
Yeah.
So you are talking a manner of English that we do not speak today. And a lot of people really push it because it is a very close and very accurate translation. My personal issue is find something like NIV, NLT, New Living. Find a word for word translation that you can understand what
Yeah.
it's saying.
Yeah.
And once you have some understanding, now compare it back to a King James or a Geneva so your mind can wrap your head around the language of the day, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
because we don't use these and thous anymore.
I like to call it dumbing it down for me.
Well, you don't necessarily need it dumbed down, but 400-year-old English is a different English. Because let's face it, what I'm doing right now is speaking. But if I was dictating myself in the King James, I have spake to you. And we don't communicate
Be
in
it
that
thou,
fashion.
no.
Right. And that is why I'm saying, and I'm not trying to criticize any translation, so to speak. Um,
Also, with that being said,
yes,
the app.
multiple Bible apps.
Yeah.
I have a Bible app that I use, and I have probably 6 to 8 different translations on it because, and it, I like the Geneva because it predates King James. I want to get as close to the original as I can, but I don't understand or speak Hebrew, especially 2,000-year-old Hebrew, because I'm willing to bet that that's just like English. I'm willing to bet that the Hebrew spake. I'm willing to bet that the Hebrew spoke in the time of King David is different than what the Hebrews speak today, or even in the time of Christ.
So is this is my brain. Is spoke the same as said and said the same as spoke? Or is said a different word? Because it's something you said in the past or because you spoke it?
Uh,
See, just
you can have multiple words mean the same thing depending on context and the manner by which it is
now
written.
see that's why I'm glad I text you.
Right.
Because when the person's watching this video and they hear me say that, they're like, "What the crap did he just say?"
Well, what,
You just dummified it for him.
well, there is that, and I am not an English major. I have,
Either.
and it,
I'd rather speak it.
I am not criticizing my teachers. They tried.
Well,
Some of it took, but
they had us as students, so
I am going to repeat a phrase that I remember saying in high school. I have been out of school over 20 years. I have still not had the need to conjugate a verb. So I really have a hard time understanding why they made me do it
I
then.
didn't even use algebra.
Huh?
I never used algebra or geometry.
I use algebra and
Now,
geometry both.
fractions I use at work 'cause I got to figure out the compression ratio and all that good stuff. But
Right.
that's simple math.
Well,
It's 8 to 1, 13 to 12. I mean, it runs all matters.
well, yes and no. If you should have 10.5 to 1 compression and it only has 7 to 1 compression, it might run, but it's more important than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's all matters is it runs. It's just, like you said, we went to school.
Right.
Now we're technically speaking, we're in school again, but
With
it's a hard knock life with Jesus.
Well,
Ooh,
there
just
is
thought of that.
good job. Good job. Well, Paul wrote that he is a slave to the word.
Yeah.
And the farther you go in down this path, the more accurate that is. Um, you only a fool stops learning. Because the moment you stop learning, you assume you know everything.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Um,
I never stopped learning.
no, no, and even what you know can change. I mean, because let's face it, we're dealing with the computers and the technology. This has changed in the last 20 years. It's changed in the last 8 months.
Speaking of that, I didn't even text it to you. There was something I told my wife yesterday, and it came to my mind. I had to text it to her so I wouldn't forget it.
Good job.
Quit playing games with God's heart and give Him your heart.
Right.
And this comes to me during the day, thinking about the podcast, what we need to talk about, and God just said, just be still and I'll be with you.
That that in and of itself is, I'm not going to say it is the biggest struggle, but it is probably one of the more common struggles with humanity is
They don't
much,
they don't depend on God.
well, it's not that. It is a battle of wills.
Yeah,
Um,
free will.
we have free will and we want to do what we want to do when we want to do it, and we want to do it our way.
Yeah,
We want God to fix the mess or to
yeah,
prevent the mess from happening. But we don't want to do it God's way to begin with because we somehow think we know better than the creator of existence. How vainglorious are we? You
You know,
know,
if I did things on my own without God in my life, we wouldn't be here. And
I
that's it.
have,
We as in the podcast, because like I said, I argued with God about it, and something I should have said in the beginning about for me and to introduce ourselves.
we're going to have to change his name from DJ Noid to Israel. Ain't that what that literally means? Is he who wrestles with God?
Oh, I do all the time, and I tell her about it, and she's basically my
That also means you're going to have 12 sons.
no. I got three enough.
He's like, DJ is great.
Um, God, He lays it on our heart to do this, and yeah, don't rely on understanding.
Right, right.
But anyways, God has blessed us so much since we have relied on Him, given our life to Him, made Him center of our marriage. Our boys pray with us at dinner. They read the Bible, not like they should, but they do read.
Well,
We
the,
read
the
it.
simple truth is everything that you're saying, and I'm not doubting you a bit, but it's to the best of your ability at
Yes,
the time.
yeah,
Because anybody could take an observant role and say, well, you messed up here, and God wasn't at the first there.
mhm.
And and that is the point to keep in mind is it's God does not ask for perfection. If we was capable of perfection,
We wouldn't
then
be.
the cross was irrelevant.
Yeah, we're human.
Right, right. But he does ask for an honest effort, and he knows that there's days that we're going to jump in head first with both feet and give 300%.
And forget our shoes.
Yes. And there's other days he
Still your
knows
slippers.
darn good and well that maybe our absolute best ain't but 30%. And that's not an excuse to only give him 30%. But I'm reminded of the parable in the New Testament where Jesus was talking about the lady who only had 2 coins.
Yeah,
You know, if you only have 30% to give and you give it 30%, you gave it your all.
yeah.
And God doesn't ask for anything. Honestly, He asks for nothing less than your all.
Yeah.
And that is another fun
He just
part,
he just
probably a
wants
completely other talk.
he just wants your heart.
Well, he wants it all.
Yeah.
He wants it all. And if we had any sense at all, we would simply say, "Yes, sir. Let him have it. Let him do his thing." Um, but we are stubborn. We are
Yes,
hard
we
headed.
are.
And I say we. What I mean is I.
Yeah.
Um, because I'm far from perfect myself. If not for the grace of God, whew, I would split hell wide open.
Being held in a neck broke. And that's something else. If you can't depend on God, you want to do it yourself, you might as well go ahead and grab hold of that vine and swing over hell and see what happens.
Well, not only that, but when you look, if you actually take the time to understand, I mean, on one hand, okay, yeah, we know that Jesus was crucified. They nailed him on a cross and he hung there. We know this happened, but if you actually take the time to understand what actually took place, he wasn't tied up there.
No,
He was nailed. Did they use 16 penny nails? No, it looked a lot more like railroad
it did. It
spikes.
did.
Did they have metal working technology then? Yes, to a degree. I mean, they had spikes. But was it a nice, clean, smooth piece of?
It
No,
was rusty.
rusty, most likely squared. And, I'm willing to bet that this was probably great for its time, but it was not a precision machined thing.
It's handmade, man made.
And when you understand that what actually takes place during a crucifixion, um, and you try to wrap your head around that sacrifice, and we are all sinners. Don't get me wrong. We
Yes.
you know we cannot achieve that level of perfection on our own. But when you actually wrap your head around, at least to the best of our understanding, what his sacrifice actually entailed, every sin we do is another swing of that hammer.
Yeah.
It's another stab in his side. Um, it's another hour on the cross.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can learn reading this Bible about God. What's crazy is you don't have to go to church and learn about this.
Well, you can, and that is the other aspect. And again,
God wants you to be around Christ-like minded people, but you don't have to go to church.
we
Unless I read that wrong.
church is an understanding, and just like language, scripturally, where two or more are gathered in my name, that is church. Scripturally, the scripture never tells you that you have to go to the church down the street or the temple up the road or whatever the case may be. It never directly tells you that. It does tell you to surround yourself with a body of believers. Yeah, we're technically having church now,
She took that out of my mind. I was going to
right?
say, we are having church now. Every
Um,
Saturday night from 6 to 8. I might change it to 9.
right.
I'm going
The
to call and find out.
the other aspect, and it's again, there's no judgment because I believe we're all guilty of it. Is the idea, you go to church to learn.
Yes.
You also go to church to be with a body of like-minded people. That is a support system, but it's more than that. It's also help. It's also correction. You are to hold yourselves accountable. The body of believers, we don't like to be judged, but we are supposed to hold each other accountable. But there's so many of us that we seem to have the idea that we go spend a half hour to an hour at church on Sunday and we've got our recharge and we're good to go. And that's
We got to hurry to the buffet.
we are supposed to be the church. We're not supposed to go to church. And again, no judgment. I'm just as guilty
Yes.
as the
Yes.
next person. But the church, when we go to actual church, yes, that should be a recharge, and we should go and learn. And there are times that we don't feel like we're getting anything. Then we need to change our heart, because if you're not getting a message, maybe it's just for a season. Maybe you should serve,
Yeah. Right.
because the fun part about walking in the faith is almost everything works contradictory to what we would think it should. If you want to get a blessing, go bless people.
Don't be like the ones
If
that
you
bless me
want,
if you can.
if you want love in your life, love people.
Yes.
If you want, you have to exemplify what you're trying to get. Um, and that's not how we want to do it. We want to possibly go to church if there's not a football game on. We want to say that we're a believer, but nothing in our life reflects that. Other than, well, we spent $90 on a cross necklace, and that should
Hey,
cover it.
I went to church today
Okay.
and I listened to the preacher and we read the Bible.
Yeah.
Now, God, do what you can with me. I'm here.
Pretty
Do
much,
what
yeah.
you will. Bless me if you can. And
And what's the likelihood that we're playing on our phone
also,
the whole time
I
we're there?
tithed today too.
Yeah, yeah,
Might have been $10, but I tithed.
right. So what's scripture say about that?
Whew. Depends where you read it
It really does.
at.
It really does.
That's something else we can teach on. I mean, this podcast can go on and on and on. Not just tonight. I'm talking about in general. God knew what He was doing when He put it in my heart to do this.
God always knows what He's doing. The problem is that we don't know what we're doing, and we don't know what He's doing.
No, He's up there with his little paws, just
Well,
smacking his forehead. He's got a big old red spot in his forehead. I'm pretty sure.
I don't
Not
think
just for
He's a
me.
bit surprised by what we do. The part that I have a hard time understanding is, why does He put up with us?
And she brought up a good point that we don't always don't listen to God.
We regularly
It's
don't
just like
listen to
listening
God.
to mom and dad growing up.
Right. Well,
Same concept. You don't listen to your parents. Well, God is
it
a
is
parent.
the same concept. We always think we know better than everybody
Yes,
else.
I know my body. You don't know. It'd be all right.
Right.
No.
And it's the same thing that I've told whether if you've battled any kind of addiction, be it drugs or alcohol or whatever, if anybody ever brings that up to you, I've got this under control. I know what I'm doing. Everybody does until they realize that they don't,
Mhm.
and the people who never get to that point,
Yeah.
that never, okay, I have a problem, but they're chasing whatever it is that they're chasing, and it's destroying their life, but they've got it under control,
Yeah.
and they know what they're doing.
Yeah. That's the problem they have under control. God,
They think they have it under control.
it's a little small
Or
story.
what would the King James, they think?
It thinks they do.
I don't even know if think is, I don't know what, either way, sidetrack, squirrel.
Oh, it's always a squirrel. It's like, like you're supposed to listen to God when He talks to you. You read the Bible. And I have a small story that reminds me when it comes to the podcast. I had a gentleman ask me about joining our podcast and talking with us. And he actually wanted to be on the team.
Right, right,
And it's before I started talking to you.
right,
And I told my wife about this guy, and it just something in my heart said no.
right,
But I prayed about it, and I told God, I said, well, maybe it's a good thing that we have me and him together, because I'm on this side of the track, he's on that side of the track.
right.
Well, his side of the track was way up there.
There are
I'm talking like it would have been difficult. And
that,
I'm glad I listened to God because I didn't go with it.
well, I have how do you word this? I don't know that I've really met anybody who actually truly followed what God said and regretted it.
Right.
You
It's
know,
a good idea.
now we confuse our will with His will, and when it blows up in our face, we wonder why God did this to us. But usually later on in life, we reflect back like, well, no, that wasn't God's will at all. That was me. And
Was it you or the devil or both?
in my opinion on that, see okay, here we go. All of us need to understand that what I don't care what you call him, the devil, Satan, Beelzebub, or Beelzebub, depending. Um, he has no authority over us that we don't grant him. We screw up and then we blame the devil like it was his fault. Nothing has changed in the history of mankind. If we go back into Genesis and we look at the story of original sin, Eve ate the apple. God says, "What have you done?" And Adam's response, "The woman that you made me," like Adam can't even take accountability for what he's done. He's trying to throw it right back at God. I need to be there or farther.
It's fine. It's fine. We got the whole screen. You know, I've heard a joke. People ask, when it comes to the cell phone world,
Right.
Apple or Android. You saw what happened when you ate the apple.
Well,
That's why we have Android. Well, unlike the Apple person across the table from me. Yeah, I'm not picking on you or nothing. Just we'll make it
no,
work.
no,
We'll make
no.
it work.
Um, I've actually seen a meme that said something about that. They make it what was that old saying? An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah,
And
they
this
lied.
lady's like, no,
They
no.
lied.
You go back to Eve. She had an apple that was bad. Every pig you've ever seen at a barbecue has had an apple. No, bad things come with apples. Now,
They do lie.
I like where she was going with that. That was actually very clever. Now, my thing is, oh, I love baked apples.
Yes.
Got that little glaze going
I like
on,
apple
cinnamon
pie.
in there, and
Apple pie.
yeah, buddy, got that crumb on top.
We're going to go get some dessert after this. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Fortunately, like I said, we can go for hours. And
No, really doesn't. Really doesn't. Yeah, our correction team.
moderator.
Yeah, the scripture never. When we go back to original sin,
Mhm.
it simply says, "Did you eat of the fruit of the tree?" It doesn't say it was an apple or a
Correct.
cherry or
Correct.
a
I do
lemon.
remember that now that you said that.
And there are even aspects
They never
that
did say
I'm
apple.
going to stop there. I've heard where people um, they equate the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that the tree and the fruit in and of itself is a
It's just like
metaphor.
Jonah and the fish. They just say it was a whale or not.
Well, where I'm at on this one is there was not even a tree. It was a metaphor that they're talking about something else. I don't know that I buy into that.
And they did get rid of
For
our.
me, at some point, I will get bored and look into it to see if there's any credibility to.
Also, it's funny is I saw a meme on TikTok. I call it the devil's playground. But anyways, uh, in the aspect, but you get God, husband, wife, and so on and so on.
Right, right, right.
I think God did it that way because we gave him our ribs.
Well,
Another discussion for another day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There are many aspects to what we would call Christian living that it's difficult. It is difficult. A lot of it goes against what we think it ought to be.
I think it might be a Bible or a podcast that we need to do about men in the house.
That would be a good one for,
because of the
scriptural roles.
yeah.
Um, but it is, yeah, I'm going to save that because
Yeah.
we need to gather the information. I'm not even going to speculate.
So with that being said, we thank y'all for listening,
Absolutely.
and we do have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook what do you want to call it? Facebook page. We are going to post it on here. We're going to share it to there. Um, I think next week we might go live where everybody can see it. We haven't decided yet. We're still talking about it. We are going to go live once a month. Um, we love for you to subscribe and like our pages. The more people we get, the more we get this stuff out there. And also, yeah, I'm glad you reminded me. We're going to have, what do they call it? We're going to be on Spotify. Not the video part, just the our channel, Spotify channel.
Right.
It'll be just
Yeah, I didn't see the
voice.
note. So when
Yeah.
what do they call it? I don't know. I didn't see the note.
The purpose of a podcast, I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
We're just doing video and audio.
Right.
But we're going to be on Spotify. We're going to be on Spotify. I'm going to create a TikTok channel. We'll put our reels on there. I will give you access to along with her. We'll do stuff together and all that good stuff. But we definitely love for everybody to watch this and put your comments in the comment post. It ain't gonna bother us. Give us your advice. Let us know. Hey, you forgot this. Well, like I said, this is a 2-part series. Might be 3. We don't know yet.
And that is the thing is a lot of these we can't cover every
Right.
angle. Part of knowledge and wisdom and understanding is you realize that not everything is a simple yes or no answer.
Yeah.
There are layers and there is depth, and some of it is an overview, and we might get back to it, we might not. If somebody has a specific question, well, we might do podcast for, hey, we're answering questions.
Yeah.
Um,
Our preacher did that.
Yeah.
Chris did that.
Yeah. Actually,
is he still doing it?
I don't know if the last one was the wrap up or not. They're currently scootering to the Grand Canyon.
That's
I'm
right.
kind of
The bikes or
jealous and
whatever.
envious, but
Riding bikes for Jesus is what they call it.
sounds good. Sounds good. But we can't possibly cover every detail. Testimonies. So yeah, there's going to be something that we don't cover. There's going to be an I that we forget to dot.
Yeah, T and the dot or
But
I
what
across.
we're trying to do more is hit the highlights. And while we can jump down these rabbit holes,
why is it gonna be a rabbit hole?
I don't know. Well, I watched
mole.
Johnny Depp the other day.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And not that particular movie. It was a different movie, but that it's got rabbit holes in my brain.
Wait a minute. You didn't watch something Christian like you watched an actual movie? How dare you? You being human? But hey, that's okay because we're human. God didn't say we couldn't watch movies.
Well, there's that, and yeah, I'm going to stop because we can actually do a whole podcast over that too.
All right. Well, like I said, we're glad you're here, and we hope you enjoy the podcast. And
Absolutely.
Definitely join us next Saturday. I don't know if we're gonna be live, but our next episode will be live at 5 o'clock, where you can watch it. Y'all have a good evening.